You can always tell what kind of room you've just walked into even before anyone has said a single word. And you can feel what's happening emotionally underneath the surface. Some people are performing confidence, some are hiding their insecurity. And if you're emotionally aware, the way most high functioning women are, you can sense both before the conversation even starts. But here's what I've learned over the years: it's not enough to just sense what's happening in the room. You have to know how to respond to it without losing your composure in the process. That's emotional sophistication. And if you're new here, I'm Davina Dandridge, author of Brains and Baubles, Do What Works for You, and the creator of the Emotional Sophistication Map and the Self Gut Check Method. This is Brains and Baubles Live, where women learn to think clearly, lead emotionally, and refine how they move through the world with intention. Before we go any further, let me be clear: I'm not a therapist. I'm a woman who's learned how to manage her emotions in rooms that weren't built for my peace. And I still walked out with both sophistication and authority intact. You've probably had moments when you walked into a meeting or a family gathering and something inside you immediately shifted. You felt something in the pit of your stomach that put you on emotional alert, and you start second guessing what you say, how you say it, or whether your present even fits in this space at all. By the time you leave, you feel emotionally drained and you don't fully understand why. And it's not that you're being sensitive. That's you picking up on emotional cues faster than most people even know how to process them. It's emotional awareness without emotional strategy behind it. And here's where lack of strategy becomes a real problem: when you start adapting to other people's emotions before you even recognize your own emotions. You're so good at identifying the emotional climate in the room that you forget to check your own emotional temperature first. I learned this lesson years ago at a work conference. I walked into one of those executive mixers, you know the kind. Everyone's smiling, but their eyes are busy scanning the room, looking for someone more important to talk to. And the tension at the mixer wasn't anything that you could pinpoint, but you knew it was there. You could feel people jockeying to get noticed without trying to look like they were trying to do that, but you knew that they weren't. I did what most women do when we want to fit into a new space: I overcompensated. I smiled too much. I may have asked one too many questions. I laughed a little bit more or louder than I normally would. And by the end of the night, I was emotionally exhausted. It took me a long time to realize why. I wasn't actually connecting with anyone, I was performing. I was managing the environment instead of managing my own emotions. So the next day, I'm at the same conference. I had a completely different mindset. Before I walked in the room, I took 5 quiet minutes to myself, asked myself some very simple questions that kind of had me shift from that same anxiety filled feeling that I had the day before to a new one. And the questions that I asked were: what emotions am I bringing into this room today? What emotions might already be waiting in that space? And then, most importantly, how do I want to feel when I leave? That simple pause changed everything about that conference for me. When I walked in this time, I wasn't reading the room just to adjust myself to them. I was reading the room to understand what I was going to get in it, what I was going to do in it, and who I wanted to speak to. And that shift in my mindset is what made me magnetic instead of reactive. I could tell that people could feel the difference in my energy or my vibe from the day before. And that's the power of emotional sophistication. It's not about dominating a space or being the loudest voice, it's about emotionally groundedness and enough of it to decide how I want to move in the room, not just reacting to other people. So let's talk about what this actually looks like in your everyday life. Social awareness starts with three specific skills. The first one is observation, then interpretation, and then the most important one, emotional restraint. Most people skip straight to reacting, but sophisticated women, we don't do that. Number one, observe before engaging. When you enter a room, take a breath and then notice what emotions you feel, not just what's being said out loud. And then don't rush to contribute to conversations right away because you need to get settled in the room. Let your emotions settle before you decide how you want to engage with people. Number two, interpret without absorbing. You can notice when there's tension in the room without owning it. You can sense competition without joining it. You don't have to prove your confidence to anyone. You just have to embody it naturally. And that takes us to number three, respond with intention. Before you reply to anything, ask yourself, is this emotion mine to manage? Am I the owner of this situation? Because not every reaction in that room deserves your involvement. You can hold genuine compassion for other people's struggle and still protect your composure. And that's what true emotional awareness feels like. It's steady, it's grounded, and it's strategic. Now, if you ever wondered why you feel emotionally tired after being in certain environments, this is why. You're not just interacting with people, you're emotionally interpreting the entire time you're there. That level of social awareness requires emotional recovery, just like any other form of work. And sometimes we mistake the emotional exhaustion for weakness, but it's not weakness at all. It's just overextension. And that's why emotional sophistication matters so much because when you truly understand your emotions, you stop matching the tone of whatever room you walk into and you start directing it instead. There's a verse that keeps me centered when I feel thrown off by the people around me. Proverbs 17:27 says, a man of knowledge uses words with restraint, and a person of understanding is even tempered. It reminds you that control doesn't come from volume or force, it comes from emotional empowerment. So here's a question I want you to ask yourself before your next important interaction, whether it's work, at home, or in public. What do I want my emotions to represent in this space? Because people will respond to your emotional state long before they respond to your ideas or your words. When you enter a room with poise, curiosity, and clarity, you change how people feel, and that changes what they're willing to hear from you. Here's your emotional refinement activity for the week. Before you walk into any important conversation, take a moment to center yourself and ask these three questions. What emotions am I carrying from earlier today? What emotions might already exist in this environment? And what emotions do I want to leave behind when I walk out? That quick reflection helps you lead your interactions instead of just reacting to them. Because here's the truth, your emotions set the tone wherever you go. And the more sophisticated your self awareness becomes, the calmer your presence feels to everyone around you. If this episode is speaking to you, take a second to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me how you manage your emotions in rooms that test your and what you've learned about yourself in the process. And if you're ready to understand how your emotions are actually wired, take the emotional sophistication. It'll show you exactly where your emotional habits are quietly running the show. Then learn how to apply the self gut check method to evaluate your emotions with strategy and not shame. And don't forget to get your copy of Brains and Baubles Do What Works for You. It's the blueprint for navigating life with intelligence, faith, and sophistication, especially when emotions start talking louder than reason.